Good morning, everyone. Today is 2019, October 30th, Wednesday, 3 o'clock, 30 minutes after 3 in the afternoon, San Francisco time. This is Xa Talk Show, and today we are going to do JavaScript and JavaScript loop, functional programming style. How do you do a loop with break? Now my neighbor, my roommate, is playing music. So Bob says we didn't hear the first 10 seconds of your scream. I only started like for the first 10 second. Uh, so yeah, maybe next time I wait for 10 seconds. No, but usually if you watch the video after the live stream, you see the full thing. Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Bart. Good morning, Zitron Crazy and Matt. So all you guys are from Germany, except Emily is from UK. And good morning, Freddie. So Bart says about the GitLab retracting tracking feature. I don't know anything about that. So okay, so let's just get on with today's topic. 10 watching, great. So today we're gonna let's begin then. Let's begin today's topic. We are going to talk about in functional programming style. How do you when you need to do a loop but with a break? How do you do that in functional programming? And also we're going to talk about functional programming map, the map function, and some syntactic and semantic issues of the map. These both of these topics are related, and we are going to do it mostly in JavaScript with respect to JavaScript. So let's begin. Okay, so let's do a JavaScript then. Okay, so for example, JavaScript. Good morning, Albert. Good morning, Kathy. You were in the middle of saying time date when it started to show. Okay. I don't know why is that. I think that only happens in live stream because if you watch the YouTube video after the live stream, it seems full. So if I do wait for 5 or 10 seconds, then possibly the YouTube video will be, the first 5 seconds will have no sound, and that is usually annoying. And I think most people will be watching, from the YouTube. So I don't know what to do yet. We'll see. So we are going to do JavaScript. So first of all, JavaScript. First of all, we want to create an array, let's say from 0 to 10. Now JavaScript is very annoying. There's no way to do it but we can. Let me show you. Okay, so let's start command log mod. So for you, those of you Emacs users and Softlight Key users, you can see all my Emacs commands on the left window. So we are going to create a constant array, and we are going to create such as 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We want to create an array. There's no way to do that in JavaScript. Okay, so let me show you. So let's say print AA. So that works. But if you want to do 1 to 100, it's tedious to write it out manually. So one way to do it is you can do this constant A2, and what you do is this is a bit complicated, and it's using JavaScript ECMAScript 2015 feature. I'm going to explain. So what you say is, I think, let's say 9 keys. Okay, That's how you do it, I think. Let's try it. Print A2. Run it. It works. Wow, I see something new here. You see? This is new. They started to print it in 2 lines. You see, I haven't noticed this before. Maybe because I updated Node. Yeah, I guess last week or so I updated Node, and but anyway, so this is how you do a JavaScript array. Let's just make it 1 line. So this is how you generate an array from. What's going on? What? Something is going on here. Wait, I don't. What? Something is going on with my Emacs. Okay, this new node is having a problems. What is going on? Some copy line origin. So I try to what? What is this character? Space. So I'm trying to copy this line, but it does not copy the whole line. Okay, this WS, what the fuck is this WS? Turn off minor mod, delete and space. Oh wait, that's white space mod, so turn that off. And what is this? Turn off minor mod, +4. Okay, this is frustrating today because we don't know what's going on today. This JavaScript now returns in 2 lines. Okay, let's make it 1 line. Copy. Let's see. Something is wrong. Okay, this is bad start today. Hello, beautiful people. So we are bad start today. So we are trying to generate an array in JavaScript. So this is one way to do it. Okay, so actually this is one way to do it. Let's just continue. Okay, but what if you want an array, let's say from 10 to 20? Now this method cannot work. Now how does this work? Let me tell you how this works. So array 9 is a array 9 generates an array of 9 elements. Each element is 0. Okay, JavaScript is very complicated. So let me show you. Let's go to my JavaScript tutorial, not web dev, JavaScript. So you go to my JavaScript tutorial and you go to JavaScript reference. Then you go to array prototype. Not array prototype, array. So array here, and you go to array constructor. So what is an array constructor? Array constructor is just this function array. So I mean this function array. Okay, now this array constructor is very complicated, extremely complicated, because it depends on what argument or how many argument you feed to it. The result will be different. For example, if you say new array something, that's equivalent to array itself without using the new. This is not always the case with constructors in JavaScript. So but if you, for the array function, that's the case. New or no new is equivalent. Now if you call array without any argument, it returns an empty array. Now if you put array n, where n is an integer, it will generate an array with n slots. However, each member is undefined. It basically just it just generates an array with what you call, it generates, if you say array, for example, if we say array 9, it generates an array of length 9, but each element is actually, there's no element, not even undefined. So so this, for example, okay, so we are getting into the extreme complexities of JavaScript. So what I'm trying to say is that when you call this, the result, when you call this, for example, the result is different from lots of problems today. So the result of that is different from that. Rather, the result of this is that. Okay. Yeah, very complex, and these two are different. So that is array n. That's what it returns. But if you call array with multiple elements, then it's basically exactly the same as a literal expression of array. So you see, that's the array constructor, and there's no way to generate array with elements 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So, but anyway, let's get back to how does this work. So this generates an array with 9 elements, well, 9 slots. Each one is not it's not even filled, not even undefined. So that is that it generates an array of 9 slots. Then the method key will return the index of the array. So in this case will be 0 to 8. So that's this part. Then this 3 dots is called spread operator in JavaScript. What it does is that it takes an operand to the right of it, and that operand must be a iterable in JavaScript. Okay. Now array is a iterable object. So when you put the spread operator to a iterable object, the result is basically it turns that iterable object into a actual array. Now in this case, array is already an iterable. So what happens when you turn it into an actual array? It's still an array. So it doesn't really make it much sense. So basically, the end result of this expression is just that. Okay. So how do I evaluate JavaScript? Well, I have this function. Okay, so you can you can get it from my website. Let's see what's the name of the function. So the function name is this xa run current file, and it's defined in xa fly keys, and you can also get it on my website here, showing browser. So if you search for run current file, you can get that command. That's how I run JavaScript in Emacs. You just put this in your init file and make sure you have Node.js installed, and it will work. Okay, so that is array. So we getting we are not getting. I'm not doing. So first thing, generating array in JavaScript. Okay, we're gonna get to the thing we want to talk about in a moment. So array constructor, the complexities of JavaScript array constructor. Okay, there is no built-in range function. Okay, So here are some of the things we covered so far. There's no built-in range function in JavaScript. Okay, then let's go back to the code here. So there's no built-in function. So how do you write a range function? The most efficient way, let me show you the most efficient way. To create a array with a range function is by using a loop. Surprise. So let me show you how to do that. So we're gonna do, suppose we want range 392, let's say 322. Let's say min max step. We want this function, so I'm going to define this function range. So let's see how we do it. Constant arrow function range, and the input should be two values, min, max, step, and the function will be, first of all, you max minus min divided by step and math floor. That is increment. That is steps. That is n. Okay, so that is the number of steps you need to do. So actually this is interval. So step is interval, and n is the total of steps you need to do. So we create a loop for of loop. So first of all, we define an array constant result empty array. Okay, then for each number, actually for loop, not for of, for, that's right, for loop. So for loop, no indent style, that's right. Actually, I don't have I'm using XR JavaScript mod, and I haven't implemented the indentation yet, so that's a pain actually. Because the way I want it is that I want to press a key and the whole buffer will be reformatted. I don't want manually, I can indent, I can like manually indent each line, but I don't want to do that. I want to press a key, the whole block of code, such as in this case the whole thing will be indented. I haven't implemented that yet. So anyway, so constant range, we're gonna create a range function to generate an array. And constant, so this is number steps, so this is result. So for I from 0 to less than n, I increment. Then for each of that, result dot push. Push min plus I times step. Okay, that is, I believe, that is what we want to do. We push to the result. So when it's done, return result. Stupid JavaScript with the. Okay, so that is function. Let's try it. Range range 10 to 20 instead of 2. Console log, print it, run it. Error, math floor, incorrect, floor, one too many O. Run, perfect. You see, perfect. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, that's what we want. You see, this is one-shot coding, no trial and error, because you understand the language well, coded one shot. You studied for 10 years, then you code it one time, and it's correct. Let's try another example. 122 instead of 0.2. Run it. Perfect. So anyway, that's how you generate an array. Okay, so I have this written already. You go to JavaScript tutorial, web dev tutorial, JavaScript. You go to array, understanding JavaScript array, array how to, range function to generate array. So there it is. Now remember, we mentioned this method, the first method. The problem with the first method here is that it only does, it begin with, you cannot specify starting number and ending. You cannot specify a range, nor can you specify a interval. You can only say, you start from 0 and integer only. So therefore, that's why you need to write a function in JavaScript. JavaScript sucks in so many ways, and this is one way it sucks. It does not have a built-in function to build an array. So typically in web programming community, you have load dash. Load dash has a function do that. You load other libraries like 5 lines. For example, I have this code. Now I'm going to push this to npm. Then other people is gonna download my library to generate an array. So anyway, that's an array range. Okay, that's how you do it. So the complexity. So hold on a second. So the complexity of JavaScript. Let me copy. Let me cut that. Okay, so let me put the JavaScript code, paste it here, color it, show in browser. So we covered generating array in JavaScript. There's no built-in function. And we covered the JavaScript, the complexities of JavaScript array constructor. It's very bad. Then we covered no built-in function to so we covered that. Okay, let's get on to the next problem. The next problem we want to do is we are talking about loop. So the question is, typically when you want to do a loop, for example, we have a loop here, we have a for each loop. But if you are writing a functional programming style, that's not what you want. You rather want you don't want to do the increment, these minor steps. You want to call a function that do them in one shot, such as map. However, there's a problem. Let's show the problem. Okay, so let's delete that, delete that. So that's us. We want to do a loop, and okay, first of all, range, let's say 0 to 10. Okay, console log. So that's what we want. Wait, this is bugging me. I don't understand. There is something wrong here. That command log mod. Abbrev software keys. What is this? Summation process. Okay, anyway, so we are creating a range from 0 to 10. Actually, this should be +1. Math floor. Actually, that may not be right. Yeah, there is something wrong with for some reason I cannot copy them. I mean, there's something with my Emacs here. Let's quit Emacs. Let's start Emacs. Oh, is it because I'm in Emacs 26.3? I just upgraded like yesterday. Okay, so let's check some so what is that? That's Haskell. I would say for let in I++. Oh yeah, I got it wrong. Wait. I forgot. I don't know what. I don't know what am I doing now. I just this code is solid. Okay, whatever I coded there, this code minus or equal to total steps. Yeah, it should be minus or equals to total steps. Okay, I need to relax. I'm not doing something is I'm not doing some right. Something is wrong here. But let's just look at, do I still have the problem of copy paste? Yes, I still have the problem of that. So let's quit. Let's switch to Emacs old version 26.2. I don't want 26.3. Let's see if that happens again. You see, the problem is that I have a key. Let's try it. Okay, so magnify, run it. Okay, it looks like same problem. Looks like this is a Java. This is not JS upgrade problem. You see, what happens is that normally, let's try this 5. Okay. Oh. You see, normally the whole thing will be in one line. But for some reason, maybe because my Node.js upgrade, or maybe because my Emacs update, now it becomes 2 lines. Okay, that's fine, but we can make it into one line. And now I want to copy a line, copy this line. XAR start command log mod. Okay, so to copy this line, I normally press a key. I press a key, XAR copy line origin. The whole line should be copied, but that's not the case. You see, if I paste it here, I got just that. That's incorrect. So apparently it depends where is my cursor. Now I copy it. Now I paste it. It's wrong. So let's try it again. Copy, paste. You see, it's supposed to copy the whole line, but I have no idea what is going on. So that is frustrating. So something I have to figure out. Something in Emacs. Let's see. Did I modify my code by mistake? XAR copy line origin. I don't think so. And that is why I'm trying to find out. Turn on the show space white space mod. Let's compact the line. Copy again. It's not working. Okay, let's look at message buffer to see if are we getting any errors. Let's copy again. Copy the line. You see if I move the cursor anywhere, I can press a key to copy a line, and I can paste. You got the full line. I can if my cursor is here, I press a key to copy the line, and I paste. It's a full line. But when it's over here, I copy the line. Something is wrong there. You see, I go back here, I paste. I don't get the full thing. Copy the line. Okay, so this talk is good. Should I continue fixing this problem? Time to switch to VS Code. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this. So if I copy the whole buffer, you see that works. Now maybe it's because I'm in different mod. Let's switch to text mod. Okay, magnify, copy the line. You see, it still doesn't work. What is this character? Comma. What is this character? Code point 46. Period. What is this character? Space. What is this character? Copy. You see, copy. This is wrong. Copy. Very annoying. I think definitely something wrong with it. Okay, let's go on then. Let me get a drink and let's go on. Let's keep going on. Let's read the comments. You were in the middle of saying time date when it started to show. Okay. Kathy, would you be nice? Everyone, hello. Beautiful. Are we doing the JavaScript today? Yes, kind of. How are you evaluating the JavaScript? Okay. Sounds like it's not that evaluated. Yes. So all the window blah blah probably won't work the same, but good for server side and just JavaScript language stuff. Signature, no indent style, equivalent to Go format. Maybe you can review competing options. Yes, I want something similar to Go format. I just press a button, it formats the whole thing. I need to write that. I haven't done that yet. So is this defining range function a place where for loop is needed and functional programming map stuff isn't preferred for JavaScript at least? Yes, actually. Okay, let me get down. I need to focus. For some reason, I'm not doing well today. I'm not relaxed or something. So today's topic, we are talking about range function for array. Copy. Did I have that? I don't have that. Okay, so let's go back. Hold on a second. Yeah, now where is it? Start talk show. Okay, let's get on to the talk show. So make it one buffer, magnify, constructor and range function for array. Okay, so we are talking about functional issues with functional programming related to loop. Okay, things like for each and map function. Basically, the question is, if you want to do loop, for example, a for loop, you have an array, you have a list of numbers, you want to find the first, let's say, even number. you have a list of random integers. You want to find the first even number. Once you find it, stop. So how do you do that? Typically when you use a loop, you can just, for each, and once you find it, you break. There's a break keyword for loop. But that's not functional programming, because in functional programming you want to do everything with a function, not for loop. For loop is not a function. It's like a special syntax for a particular control, branch control. Like do this, if this, then that, you jump around, then you repeat. In functional programming, you don't want to do that. Functional programming, everything is a function without side effect. Just call function. So that's what you want. But however, when you want to do a loop, you want to find the first element, then you want to break. How do you do that? You don't want to use a map, because if you use a map, it's going to continue to map the whole array. So that is the topic that is the first topic we are going to talk about, and we are going to use JavaScript as an example. But this is actually an issue in other languages, because basically, except Haskell, I don't know how Haskell do it. How do you do it, Haskell, Justin? How do you do in Haskell when you have a like array or something, a list? You want to apply a function. Once you find something is true, you want to break. You don't want to continue to save. To make it. You don't want to waste the cycle. To keep, because you already found it. You want to break it. How do you do that in Haskell? I don't know. So Justin, maybe do you know? So, but in general, in almost all the languages I know that supports functional programming, there is no way. There is basically no way. But there's one way. There's a way in JavaScript. But it's very convoluted. Rather, you do not want to use it. So basically, what I'm saying is that when you are doing functional programming in all these JavaScript, like semi-functional languages, even Lisp, yes, even in Lisp, you still have to like do loop some kind of. So let me show you how to do that. So, but why are we talking about generating an array in JavaScript? Because first of all, we need an array. That's I'm just mentioning that on the side. JavaScript is a language that sucks. It does not have a built-in range function. Therefore, you have to write it. So that is what I'm showing in the first place. Before we talk about the loop with break in functional style. So we are talking about how do you write a range function. Now, the writing a range function in JavaScript is very interesting and related to our topic as well, because we have shown that in JavaScript there's no range function built in. The only kind of close way to do it is this. We explained how that works, and that relies on JavaScript ECMAScript 2015. And this, in fact, this is very convoluted concept, because you are calling an array constructor, giving it an argument. It does not actually generate an array with 9 elements, where each element, let's say, is undefined or 0. It's actually not that. It just generates an array with 9 slots, and each element is not field. Let's say it's not field, because it's different from the literal value undefined. So like we mentioned before, if you say array 9, you just got an array of 9 slots, where each element, there's no element. Like, you don't say there's an element. There's just array with 9 slots. This is different from an array with 9 element where each one is the value undefined. So this is one of the extreme complexity of JavaScript. Okay, so that is a constructor array 9. It returns an array with 9 slots. Then you call this method keys. it returns the index of the array. So in this case, it returns 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. 0 to 9. It does not actually return an array. It returns a iterable object. So what is iterable in JavaScript? It's very, very complicated. Okay, if you like to know, you can read my tutorial about iterables and iterable object and iterators. So you go to JavaScript in depth all the way to the bottom. You have, first of all, you need to understand what's the interface in JavaScript, which is completely different from Java, Python. Okay, it's not like Java, Python's interface, in JavaScript. So anyway, you have iterable and you have iterator. You have those kind of things. So anyway, so the key method of array, the keys method, it returns a iterable object. It's not an array, okay? It's an iterable object such that each element is the index of the array. So basically, it's like 0 to 9. So once you got an iterable, but what you really want is an actual array. So then you use this spread operator. Okay, so you can see spread operator, this article. Spread operator will take the iterable and turn that into a actual array, kind of. So this single line, this single expression by itself takes, I would say, if you really want to understand it completely, will take you few hours just to understand that. And that returns. I turned on Safari by mistake. So this expression, with all its complexities, it just returned an array, 0 to 8 of 9 elements. But JavaScript do not have, if you want the range to be different, you cannot do that. Therefore, you need to write a range function. Now, when you write a range function, so how do you write a range function if JavaScript does not have a built-in range function? Okay, we can write one by loop. So this is related to what our main topic about using map to do a loop. So when we write a range function in JavaScript, notice that we are using a for loop. It works right here. We are using a for loop and it works. But however, if you are a functional programmer, you don't want for loops, right? You want to avoid for loop. So how do you do that? There's no way. Okay, there's basically no way. It's like impossible. Well, it's possible because it's possible, but any solution that's not using a for loop will be very inefficient. For example, this expression by itself is pretty inefficient because you are generating a array of empty slots. Then you are applying these keys to get the indexes. Then you are turning the whole thing into a actual array with using the spread operator. So this expression by itself is rather fairly inefficient, and it's incomprehensible, and the semantic is also convoluted. So this is one reason. This is one of the like hundreds, 10 big reasons. One of the reasons that JavaScript is very, very, very convoluted, bad language. But anyway, let's get back to how do you write a range function. So you write a range function like that, but however, it's using a for loop. So as a functional programmer, you don't want that. So how do you do that? Basically, there's no way. Any functional programming method to create a range function will be much more inefficient. Let me show you an example. Okay, so let's try to write another function that does functional programming. Using the functional programming to generate a range. For example, we can say So we define constant function range 2. Okay, so min max step like before, and what we want here is we want functional programming, so we don't want for loop. So how do you do that? Okay, so just like before, we call array. We need, okay, let's try this. We need this number, like how many items are there. So we do array n items, then that returns it's impossible actually. You see, that returns, it doesn't, that returns an array without any element. It just have that number of slots, because I was thinking of doing a map. So once you have an array, you can map a function to it. For example, map. So map arrow function, then we can say x plus x min. Wait, this should be actually something like that. And we need to find out we can do that. But anyway, this map will not work because this thing is actually not, it's an array with n slots, but there's no element. You cannot map to it. Why? Because we can try. So create a new JavaScript, save it xxx.javascript. Okay, today's date. We can try this. You'll see why this does not work. Let's say 5. Let's say map x plus 1. Okay, now let's say console log. Let's print it. You see, error. What's the error? Because syntax error. Okay, missing x. Wait, missing x. Oh, the semicolon. Semicolon is another major problem in JavaScript. So let's do it again. Run it. You see, the result is 5 empty items. Why is that? Because this array 5 returns an array with 5 slots. However, each slot, each member is not a thing. Is not even a element at all. It just have 5 potential slots. So it's not undefined either. So actually, you see, so you cannot use a map to this thing. So that is a problem. So back to the question. So how do you write a function, a range function, with in a functional programming style without using loop? Basically, you cannot. Like impossible in JavaScript. So that concludes that topic. So let me see the comments. Do you have a good way to do that? About what? Freddy says, okay. So time to switch to VS Code. Hello, beautiful people. Disagree. You are doing well today. Broken environment is not your fault. Thank you. Freddy says, I have a basic question. I want to call a function which creates a dictionary with many nested values. Dictionary with many nested values. With strings, arrays, act in it. But I also want to specify in the function a few values for some of the values of the dict. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's hard to know what you mean. I mean, it's hard to explain. but all the rest get a default value. Oh, okay. Uh, so you want to create you want to create basically, maybe let me try if this is what you want. You in JavaScript, you want to create a dictionary. JavaScript does not have a dictionary. Okay, so what you mean is either a object, the JavaScript object, which is a pair of things, at least a pair, collection of pairs, or you want to use JavaScript map object. So here is another extreme complexity of JavaScript. So normally when you want a collection of pairs, like key value pairs, typically you use a JavaScript object. Like this cat dog. This is a JavaScript object, key value pairs. But however, object is very, very problematic. It's not in the beginning. It's not designed to be a dictionary. It's not designed to be a hash table. Dictionary. Python call it dictionary. Ruby call it hash table. Perl call it hash table. Java call it map. But it's the same idea. It's basically an ordered list of key value pairs. Okay, so in JavaScript, the JavaScript object represent that, but it's not designed to be that. However, in ECMAScript 2015, you have a real hash table. They call it map. So I have a tutorial here. So this is the map object. So JavaScript call it a map object. So this object is a special object that is designed to represent a collection of key value pairs, like Python's dictionary, Ruby's hash table, Java's map, or things like that. So JavaScript also calls it a map. So you can create a map and so on. And your question is, so you want basically I think you are saying you want to create a map in JavaScript um, such that you want to specify some of the keys while others the keys are undefined, like it takes a default key. Well, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. And you know, in a mesh or in a map or hash table or dictionary, the keys must be all unique. So I'm not sure what you mean. But anyway, I think I should continue with what we are doing today. Uh, so I would want ideally the initialization of the dictionary with default values, and then an iteration of the key value pairs of the dictionary, which might be quite nested and includes even arrays. Like I don't see what you mean. Like, what do you mean an iteration of the key value pairs? Do you have a good way? Yeah, I in this kind of thing, I don't think I can understand, because that's too short. Um, so the neo-language says arrays are iterable, but there are many other built-in objects that are iterable as well. Not many. Not many. But the iterable objects in JavaScript are array, uh, array, map, set. That's about it. So if we go to iterable, purpose of iterable, what is iterable object, and the standard iterable object, string. Oh yeah, I missed the string. String, array, set, map. That is it. You can array knife fill and then iterate. Oh, Geez, that is a good answer. Thank you. Hello, beautiful people. That is the best answer today. Best comment. You are right. Yeah. So feel is ECMAScript 2015 stuff, or was it 2016? So that's a great idea. So let's try that. Great idea. Thank you, beautiful people. Feel. Right. Let's try feel 0. Yeah. So once you feel it, let's see if I do have a let's see JavaScript reference array. We are so behind from our main topic today, which is about map and every. That's a easy subject for me to talk about, but but I want to go with the extra step. I thought, why not? Let's just cover about how to write a range function in JavaScript, and that became half an hour and not done yet. Okay, but it's interesting stuff. I hope so. Let's see array field. Yeah, we want to know about the field function. There it is, indeed, fantastic. So that's a great answer. Thank you so much. In fact, this is a great answer that actually I think I will modify my tutorial for the generating array possibly. So anyway, you can do this. So let's try. So hello, beautiful people says feel a value of okay, so let's say field 0, start index, end index. We don't care. We want to fill the whole thing. So once you fill it, then you can map. I think map takes a third argument, which is rarely used. We need that because we need the index of the array. So let's see. Okay, so fill and then map. So let's go to map. JavaScript reference array prototype map. Map. Okay, so map the function. The function takes three argument: current element, current index, and my array. Okay, so here is what we do. So we need a function here, arrow function. So the current element and the current index. Okay. So how we want to fill it? We want to so for each element will be I plus will be x plus I times step. I think that work. Let's hope that it does. So this we need a return value, so a parenthesis, not square bracket, not a curly bracket. So that I hope will work. This will be just return. Okay, let's hope so. Let's try it. Range. Okay, so copy, paste the whole range 2, run it. Wait, range 2, 1 2 3 4. We are printing 4 things. 1 2 3 4 5. Wait, there's 5 things here. What's going on? So console log. Okay, let's not print that. Run it again. Okay, so it works. I think it works. We just need to modify this a bit. Oh yeah, we forgot to add add min. Run it again. perfect. So actually, let's rearrange this a bit. Run it again. Perfect. So that is fantastic. That is fantastic today. So I need to. Uh, so this is a functional way to write a range function in JavaScript. But it is I know for sure it is slower than this one. I know for sure. So okay, so that finishes one topic. Let's get on to the loop and the map. So let's see. So you can use an array for each or whatever. Danielle says a function that basically takes an starting index and ending index, then return a list of all integers from start to end. So Langlo is done an array from. So Danielle's solution array.from. Wait, so is it array.from? I don't know. Maps and sets now. So a recursive range function where you only needs to be a. Yes, thank you. I meant object basically. Give me default object level 1. So the answer to Fred's question, we can do that, but it's probably getting complicated. Let me finish today's topic. So Daniel says, so happy to help. So gotta go. Okay, Alan. So okay, so how long we've been talking? Ah, God, today is so bad. I feel so bad. So anyway, so we got a range function, and let's do loop then. Let's do a loop. Uh, so let's do a loop. So we got our range function. Let's just use this one for now. Actually, let's just use that. So what we want is we want to that multiple lines annoys me. Because I felt something is wrong with it. You see, there is definitely something semantic going on with this expression because let's try this. Oh no, wait, it's the same. Okay, so anyway, so we got a array. We want to define a function. We want to get the first even number. When it's true, then stop it. Okay, so let's define a function. Constant arrow function, even is even. Okay, so if x mod 2 equals to 0. Now I don't know how do you say mod in JavaScript. Let's look. JavaScript basics and JavaScript arithmetics string methods. String methods, arithmetic operators, power negation, there, remainder operator. So what you want is that, so if that returns 0, then return, actually return, we want to return the index. Okay, so return the element and the index, and wait, it should return true. The whole thing is screwed. So actually, if expression, so that's our function. So if x divided by 2 is 0, returns true, otherwise return false. So this is a is even function. So let's try is even for true. That's good. So that works. Now we want to write a loop for loop. Okay, x equals to less than that. If is even, a2 array I is true, then console log okay, that should print all even numbers in array. Let's run it. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, that's correct. So but this is using a loop, we don't want that. Okay, so wait, so if it's even, then print it, then break. Okay, we don't want, we just want to find the first one, and when we found it, we want to stop. So run it, 0. So 0 is the first one, we found it, we break. So this is how you do it, and this is using a loop, not functional programming style. But however, we want to do a functional programming style. So the way we do that is you can use a2 every. So every will apply a function to each element in an array in turn. So if this function returns true for all of them, then the result of the every is true. If there is some value that's false, then the return value is false. So basically every make sure that every value, if you apply the function to every value in array, it must be all true. The first time it sees an element that's not true, basically it will stop computing, you'll ignore the rest of it. So you can you can, as a side effect of the evaluating order of every function, you can abuse it as to emulate the behavior of for with break. You see, every by itself is a logical function. It just makes sure, if this function applied to all elements of the array is true, then it returns true. However, there's a side effect. It does this evaluation in order. So the first time, when it sees a element that's f returns false, it will stop computing. It will stop computing the rest of the elements. So that is a side effect. So therefore we can abuse it to do what we want, instead of using a loop. So let's do it. So we want to write a function here, arrow function. So x here. So the function is actually the function is even. Okay, that's it. So we can console log print that'll work. It returns false because some element are false, but actually we need to this is getting complicated. You see what we want to do. I want to show you. I want to demonstrate what every is doing. In order to do that, actually, so let's do that. Okay, so we need a arrow function here. Okay, so you need a function. So the function will be like that. So let's do that. So the function if x divided by 2, where the remainder is 0, then you say true. Then you return true. And also you want to you cannot use if expression. JavaScript is so complicated. You cannot use expression. You have to use the if statement. So let's do that. So if x is even, then you print x, then you return x. Otherwise, you return false. Okay, return false. This is kind of very complicated expression. JavaScript, functional programming in JavaScript. Okay, so here is our function. Now let's try to make it more readable. So there it is. So here is our function. This function, it takes one argument. So if it's even, we print it first, then we return it. We return true. We need to return true. Otherwise, we return false. So we are calling this. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see. So there you go. You see, it did not go through every element in an array because otherwise it would have printed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It didn't print. So it simply prints 0 and return false. So that is how you abuse the evaluation order specification of the function every to emulate a functional programming style of doing a loop and break without actually having a loop and break. And this is very problematic because as you can see here, the for loop is actually much simpler to understand because JavaScript got lots of problems even though it supports functional programming. But you can see the syntax is, on the whole, considered as a whole, is very complicated. With a semicolon, it's unlike a programming language that is designed for functional programming, such as Lisp, Mathematica, APL, Haskell. Those, you use functional programming, you can understand it due to the syntax. But in JavaScript, you got things like this. If the whole thing is in one line, it's impossible to read. But anyway, so here is a way to avoid using loop with break in kind of a functional programming style, but not really, because syntactically it is like functional programming, because you have an array, you have a method which is a function, then you have another function here. It looks syntactically it looks like a functional programming, but actually it's not, because you are actually abusing the spec for the evaluation order of the every function. So that is kind of the thing I want to say about this. So we showed two things. I showed how you can emulate loop with break in a functional programming style in JavaScript. So that's how you do it. But however, I also showed several other. I want to in my opinion, I also showed that JavaScript is very convoluted in many ways. One of the ways is syntax. Once you write in a functional style, it's hard to read. It's hard to read what this thing is. And also, I'm talking about we are able to do this because we are abusing the evaluation order of the every function. That's how we can achieve this. Because the moment it finds something false, it stops evaluating the rest of it, because you already know the final result should be false. So we are abusing the evaluation order. So when you have things like that, such as the every function, that means that every function has side effect. It's not truly a functional thing. So there's a lot of complexities going on. So in the end, I would not recommend when you want a loop with break, you just do loop with break. You don't do this for and every. Yes, it's called circuiting. Exactly, it's called short circuiting. That's what people call it. So anyway, so that I've that completes the kind of main topic I want to talk about, and this is also related to the. Let's copy it. Okay, so let's copy it. Put it here. Color syntax it. So that covered, the thing I want to talk about, the every, every, you can do that, use every as a loop with break. And by the way, there's also, normally if you want to do functional programming of a loop, you can use for each. That's like a loop, but in a functional programming style, you can use for each. But however, for each does not allows you to break the loop. It does not have a optional, parameter where you can put in a function. Whenever that function returns false, stop the for each. That would be a more proper way to have the loop with break functionality in a functional style. So the proper way for JavaScript to go is actually for each function to have a optional argument. It should be a function that returns true or false. Whenever it returns true, or whenever it returns false, the for each should stop. That is the proper way. But since it does not, so we are using for every to emulate loop with a break, or we can also use sum. Where is it? Sum. Sum is just like every. When you have every, the function must return true for every element. For sum is that every element must return false. As long as sum is true, it stops. It's kind of the opposite. So we can also use sum to emulate loop with break. So that finished one topic. And so these things, what I want to show today, you see, these many issues are uh, complex and related, because you see, we are trying to do functional style and we are trying to avoid loop. But then there's the issue of how do you do something that is a loop but you want to break. So that is a problem. And when talking about this problem, it comes to, some issues comes to our mind. That is, issues like there's issues like evaluation order of a function. You see, such as this every function. You see, the evaluation order does not really change the semantic, the meaning of what the every function do, because the every method is simply return true if a function is returns true for every element. So it does not necessarily need to stop when you reach a element that's false. The reason it stops is like short circuit. It just saves time. Since it already know the final result is false, it needs not to continue. But however, the very fact you have this specification order, specifying order, that screws up something else. That's because the moment you have this, order thing, evaluation order thing, which does not change the meaning of the function, the mathematical meaning of a function. It's about kind of computing efficiency issue. So the moment a programming language specify this kind of evaluation order and shortcut, then something funny comes up. That is, we can kind of abuse this every function to emulate a kind of a functional programming style of a loop with break. You see, so what I'm trying, you see, my intention about this topic, today's topic is about these complexities that comes up. This rather non-trivial, subtle complexities. So that's the first part about using every to emulate loop with break, and this applies to many other languages as well. I think it applies to Python. Like, you can think about how Python does it, how other Lisp, I mean even Lisp, typically they don't support loop with break in a functional style. So, for example, in Emac Lisp, to do that, you simply do a while loop. Okay, it becomes very idiotic. You just do a while loop, and in so the question, I don't know how Haskell does it. So Justin is gone, but otherwise, Justin, maybe did he answer? He can tell us how Haskell do it. Well, in Haskell, I don't think the problem even comes up, because if you want to find something, in an array, you want to find the first item and stop. I think Haskell has like ways to, you don't even, you don't write loops. But anyway, so this problem, as far as I know, is a problem in other languages such as Python, PHP, Emac Lisp for sure. This language I know for sure. You got this problem, and also in Scheme Lisp, you got these problems. Whenever you want to break a loop, you see, in our example, we are using the very simple example of even. If a number is even, we want to break. But in real life, it may not be that simple. The function may have to check the database, or maybe or each element in the array is actually a window object or geometry, a polygon somewhere. You want to find, then your function is not simply, check if that number is true, even or odd, but your function is checking some qualities about polygons, some about that, complicated math object or window object or whatever. So in real life, this problem comes up. You want a break with you want a loop with a break. So that concludes that thing. Now the thing related to that thing I want to talk about is the syntactic and semantic difference of map function. I'm about done. In 5 minutes I can finish. So this syntactic and semantic difference of map function. So what I'm talking about, you can read this article, but but we already kind of covered that already, because you can see when we try to use functional programming style to emulate loop with break, we end up with this solution, using every. So on the surface, the code looks like functional programming, but actually it's not, because first of all, every has a side effect. It stops something when it found the element that's false. That's not functional. That's not pure functional. Okay. Then we are using with the, so I mean so the thing is, on the surface, syntactically, it looks like functional programming, but not semantically. And also, the reason this code works is that because every has this, specification about when to stop computing, which is not part of the functional specification. Because as far as the functional specification is that input and output, remember, that's functional programming. So every is a function. So the input is an array and a function, right? And the output is either true or false. If the function applied to every element is all true, then it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. You see, that's the functional spec for every. But however, it also has this computational, evaluation order thing, which has nothing to do with the functional spec, the input output spec, but rather it's about kind of efficiency of computing. So you see, on one hand, the whole thing looks like syntactically functional, but semantically it's not, and it involves this complicated thing. So that is when. So when you understand that, then you look at the map function. The map function has exactly the same problem. Because map function, so functionally speaking, in a functional programming point of view, the function of the map specification is that the input is a function and a list. Okay, in JavaScript it's an array. Okay, so function and a list or array. That's the input. The output is another list where each element is the function applied to each element of the array of the list. Okay, so that's the input and output. That's the functional perspective, input output of the map function. But however, just like the every function, the map function has a evaluation strategy, evaluation order specification in the language. For example, we are seeing the JavaScript spec, the ECMA 2015 spec for the map function. Essentially, it's very complicated to read, but essentially it tells you that in order to implement JavaScript map correctly, if you want to pass, JavaScript standard, you actually are doing a loop. You can see the last line, it says increase k by 1. So it's telling you that when you implement map in JavaScript, you have to go by order, like apply f to the first element, apply f to the second element. You have to do that by order. So what is the consequence of saying that? Because remember, first let me repeat, the functional specification of the map function is that You take a list, you take a function, that's the input. The output is the list where each element is a function applied to every element. Okay, that's the input and output. But however, because of practical computation, the spec says you need to do this by order. Now there is a very important subtleties, just like the every case, the case we talked about before. There's an important consequence. That consequence is that if your function that is the input to map, if that function does not have side effect, then the order does not matter. Okay, but however, if your function has side effect, then this spec says that it has to follow order. Then it has significant consequences because then if you don't follow order, the result will be different. So you see what I mean? So I don't know what if I'm making too much sense today. So maybe maybe that's it for today. Let me read the comments. So Bart, do you think am I making sense? Uh, or maybe if I'm going too slow, like being repetitive. Yeah, so some and every on empty array are weird. So JavaScript has tons of these problems, really tons of these problems. JavaScript is truly bad. Freddy says, yes, if this stuff is in one line, it really makes it hard to read. Yes. And yes, this is kind of code by a tenfold that I'm dealing right now, left behind by my superiors. Okay. Uh, Given finding the first element passing test, you can use sumarray.find. Sumarray.find. Yes, that's true. Yeah, hello, beautiful people. Yeah, that is true. But I'm trying to show an example about this syntactic and semantic issue. So you see, I find this interesting because normally when we talk about functional programming, we think of it's like, what do you mean by functional programming? But I hope what I find very interesting is that you see we have these fairly very complex subtleties going on, because this on one hand it just looks like functional, almost like, even if you read functional JavaScript book, they tell you, oh, how to do functional programming in JavaScript, purely functional programming, Facebook has functional programming libraries and so on. You see this kind of thing, but there's so usually I don't yeah usually they don't talk about. I don't think so. There is complex issues beneath about this evaluation order. So if we continue with our article about the map with a consequence, so the next issue, so for example, we showed JavaScript. The spec says that the map must execute by following order. This is kind of, the spec says that if you want to create a JavaScript standard compliant implementation, you have to do that. Now Lisp, let's look at Lisp example. Now Lisp is well known as a functional programming language. Now in Emac Lisp, look at what it says. You see, it says map car. So map car is map. In Lisp you call it map car. It says apply function to each element of sequence in turn and return a list of the results. You see, it says in turn. So in Emac Lisp, even in Emac Lisp, it also specifies that the map function must follow the order, must apply the first one first, apply the second first. Even though from a functional programming point of view, the map function doesn't really care about order, because as long as your function does not have side effect, side effects such as changing a global variable or changing the list you are mapping to like on the fly. That's very bad. A lot C and C++ type of programmers, they like to do that because that's why I never like those low level stuff. They do that because they are trying to get efficiency to apply tricks to get CPU memory. They know how they are organized. They're trying to make it faster. Anyway, so you see, even Lisp language, they specify that the map function apply in order. So what is the consequence? The consequence of the spec is that, so the first question we can ask is that whether a language spec, let's say you are creating a language, your own, your favorite language. When you have a map function, should you specify what order it applies? Should you? That is an open question. When you design a question, this question will come up. This is going to be one of the questions. Should your map function specify the application order? Now we can think about, so the answer is whether yes or no. But what are the consequences? The thing is that if the function to the map has no side effect, then the order does not matter. Okay, you don't have to specify an order because doesn't matter which order, the result will always be the same. If the function to map is without side effect, it's a pure function like in Haskell. However, if your function possibly may or may not, cannot guarantee it doesn't have side effect, then the order really matters. You need to specify your order. And the simplest order is just apply the first one first. So you got this issue here. You got this issue, design issue, language design issue, and it's a problem because so why do so okay, if your function may have side effect, then you want order. But when you have an order, then you got a problem because, okay, first of all, let me talk about what is the advantage of not specifying an order. Like, what is the advantage if your function is always pure function to the map? That has great advantages because if your function to map has not side effect, that means you can apply parallel computing. The compiler can take your code, it can apply f. If you have an array of 1,000 items, let's say 1 billion items, and you need to apply map, a function to each one of them. So if the function is pure, no side effect, then you can do parallel computing. For example, at Google, you can apply f to using 1,000 processors, 1 billion processors at the same time. It'll just work because they have no side effect. So that is an advantage. So if your language do not specify order, it kind of, there's another complication is that if your language do not actually specify an order, it kind of force the programmer to always have a function that does not have side effect. Because once you have side effect and the language spec does not guarantee an order, then your result will be arbitrarily different each time you run. Because so that is when you kind of force programmer to not use a function that has side effect. This is in fact true for scheme Lisp specification for a long time. I don't know what's the situation now. Scheme specification, their functions do not specify a evaluation order, as far as if I remember, because this evaluation order is very interesting. We mentioned today. This is the main topic today because it's like if you don't specify an order, you are fucked. If you specify an order, you are also fucked. That's the case. Because if you don't specify an order, then then that means you want your function to be pure functions, no side effect. Then the other question is, then how do you enforce in your language? How do you enforce that function do not have a side effect? If you have a language like Haskell or Camel, F sharp, strongly typed functional programming language, then you can do that. Okay, it's already part of the language. But in the case of JavaScript, Python, Ruby, PHP, you got a problem, or Java, or possibly Java and C++. You got a problem because how do you now? You got a problem of how do you enforce? How does a compiler know that the function does not have side effect? So things like that. So it's very interesting. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about today. So let's see. Any chance doing it a bit earlier? For my talk show, I don't know. That's always a problem. I'll try it. Okay, so yeah. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Um, any more comments? We shut down in 1 minute. Yeah, we shutting down in 1 minute, guys. So any questions about that? Let me read the comments. I so many comments today, and I haven't been reading them. Uh, okay, so that's it for today. I think tomorrow maybe we do Emac Lisp. We haven't done that for a while. And Freddy, your question, you need to specify it out. Like actually, Freddy, like yeah, Freddy, I think your question is too complicated because give me default object level 1 default. Yeah, yeah, I don't, it's, I think it's, you need to specify it out because it's, it's programming stuff is often quite complicated. You have to write a lot of text to, to understand, what is meant. Yeah, I don't really know what you mean by the defaults. Uh, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you guys. Bye, guys.